Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Shani Southern. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, beautiful souls, to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. Today, I have with me the lovely Shani Rogers. Shani is first and foremost a devoted wife and mother of two incredible children. Born and raised in Long Beach, California, when she's not working, volunteering at her kids' school, at dance practice for her daughter, or the baseball field for her son, she enjoys relaxing and spending time with family and friends, usually with an iced coffee in hand. Blue and Pink Balloons is the real life story of the miscarriage their family experienced when their daughter was just about to turn 4 years old. It's the story as if told through her daughter's eyes. A story of wishing for a sibling, the excitement in becoming one, and the sadness in losing the baby. This book validates children's feelings when there is a loss and reminds them that they are loved no matter what. Thank you so much for joining us, Shani.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Did you want to share more about the path that has led you to where you are today?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me again. My first official podcast.
Oh,
I'm
yay.
very excited to be here. Yeah, and actually perfect timing today was the release of my book. So it's really exciting for that. Yeah, I have, like you said, we have a little girl. She's, well, not so little. She's 11 and our son is 7, our rainbow baby. And yeah, we had our daughter, no problems. Everything was, by the book pregnancy with her. And when she was about, I'd say 3 or 4, she kind of started asking for a sibling. She'd been in dance since she was 2.5 and, had started preschool. So, she's all around her friends is, oh, they have a little brother, they have a little sister. I want one. I want a brother. I want a sister. And when she was about 4, I could kind of wrap my head around the thought of having another one because she was a handful. So the thought of having another one when she was little, I kind of had to wait on that. So when she was about 4, I was like, okay, she's kind of calmed down a little bit. I think we could try for number 2. And so we did, and we found out about mid-January 2015 that we were expecting. And she was thrilled. She was so excited. She could not wait. She's just very motherly anyway, and has always had a love for babies, and she was just so excited. And so we told her and we surprised her, and everything was great. And we went in for our 8-week ultrasound to hear the heartbeat. And again, I it was only about 8 weeks in, but I was feeling, like starting to get like the morning sickness, and the appointments before that were fine. And so we went in to hear the heartbeat, and the beginning of the appointment was okay. And they were like, it's measuring where it should be. Everything looks good. And then of course comes the part any parent doesn't want to hear, which is, I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat. And so I had what's called a missed miscarriage. So my body hadn't recognized that I had miscarried. And so that was February 17th of 2015. And then 2 days later, the 19th, I had the DNC. So that was kind of rough, going those couple of days. Still feeling pregnant, but knowing that it's not going to last. So that was rough. And so when Sadie was at preschool, it's our daughter. And that morning we had told her, today when we pick you up from school, we're going to have an ultrasound for you. We're going to have a picture of the baby and you can see the baby. And she was so excited. And so, that was hard driving to her school, knowing we had to give her the news. So we picked her up from school and took her home. And my husband is amazing and my rock. And when I don't have words, he does. So he took the lead and we sat her down on the couch and, he was great and just said, honey, the baby that was in mommy's tummy, something was wrong and, it had to go back to heaven. And, she was confused. She was only 4 and she was like, well, why? And so I don't get to be a big sister anymore. And we were like, no, not right now. And she cried and was upset. And so we thought, well, what can we do for her in this moment to kind of not give it closure, but give it a lighter feel for her since she was 4. And so my husband actually came up with the idea, what if we go to the park and we get a blue and a pink balloon because we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. And we'll release them up into heaven and you can say goodbye. And she loved it. And she lit up and it kind of lightened the mood. And she was like, let's do that. Let's go. And so that's the cover of the book is actually an illustration of the actual moment that we did it. And so we went to the park nearby and we tied a little picture of the ultrasound that we did bring home to the balloons and sent them off. And so naturally, I had a hard time. We all did, for a while afterwards. And she kind of struggled with it and was sad. And she, in her mind, we were having a girl. And if we were going to have a girl, we were going to name her Lacey. And so I would walk by her room and hear her talking to someone. And I'd say, who's she talking to? No one's here. And I go in, Sadie, who are you talking to? I'm playing with Lacey. Or Mom, have you seen Lacey today? She has a really pretty dress on. And so it was coming out in ways like that were very sweet, but it was still, fresh on her mind, the loss. And so that kind of helped me. It was kind of therapy for me rightfully so, parents, deal with the loss and are upset and mourn and grieve. But it took the attention off of my feelings. Now I've got to help her through this. And so, we would talk and things like that. But I thought, what can I do for her in this kind of a moment? And I researched, and there's great things out there for siblings that have gone through stuff. There are some really great books and stuff like that. But I thought, you know what? I've always loved writing. I've always had I love the creative space. I danced growing up my whole life and I loved writing and I was in creative writing club through school and stuff like that. So I thought, why don't I take this and write a book for other kids going through this as if told through her eyes? And so, my husband loved the idea. He says, that's a wonderful idea. He's always complimented me on my writing. And And I sat Sadie down and I said, what do you think if, mommy writes a children's book about our story? And she loved the idea. She's like, yes. Of course, the first thing was, can I be in it? So I said, yeah, let's do it. And so it was kind of therapeutic for both of us. We sat down sometimes together and how does this sound? Do you like how this sounds? And oh, mommy wrote this. Can I read it to you? And so it was nice for both of us to kind of bond in that way through it. And so that's kind of how the book came to be.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I want to say, thank you for being so open and vulnerable with your story. I experienced a miscarriage as well. And I think it's one of the hardest, well, I mean, it's all hard, but
Right.
to go in thinking that everything is okay. I think that's the
Right.
thing that catches you. It's the
Completely
same.
off guard.
Yeah, you caught completely off guard. And, and I know there's so many different ways that presents, like through, the entire pregnancy with women, going through later loss as well. But, the early stages, you go, like, I think I was 7 weeks, and thinking that everything was okay. And I was feeling a bit exhausted and a bit,
Yeah.
but then I was like, it was my first pregnancy. I didn't understand like what a
Okay.
pregnancy was meant to feel like. So I was like, I
Right.
just go along with the motions. And yeah, it's, you know, the silence in the room was deafening.
Yeah.
And I think, it's never anything that you ever have on your radar. It's not anything that
No.
you ever plan for. And um to think everything is okay and then to go in and hear those words, I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I remember thinking, no, keep trying, keep looking.
Right.
There's got to be something. And, um, and then you start to sort of come to the realization that this is actually happening and it is real and you're not going to wake up if it's not a bad dream.
Right.
But you almost feel like you're in the movies and you hear those lines like, someone pinch me and like wake
Right.
me
Like
up.
out
Like,
of body. Yeah.
yeah, I need to wake up from this. This is not real. Um, so I, completely feel you in
Yeah.
that sense. I can only imagine what it would be like to then have like living siblings that are, expecting also this baby.
Mhm.
It's not just you and your expectations and your dreams and like what you want your life to look like. It's
Right.
theirs too. Like, they have this vision of themselves
Right.
stepping into that role. So I love that you've been able to create something so beautiful from that pain, from that heartache. And congratulations on it releasing today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I
That's
appreciate it.
You're welcome. And it's so important to understand that the little ones need that constant support too. Like, us as adults, we understand that grief is an ongoing journey,
Right.
and we need that ongoing support, whether it's from our own selves or from people on the outside of us. And sometimes I
Right.
think the kids can get a bit left behind, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, they seem okay because they're playing or they're happy or they're, you know, but and as you were talking too, I think with that whole, when she was playing with Lacey,
Yeah.
when children are trying to process stuff, they process it in play, in role play.
Right.
So if they've got these big, heavy things that they're trying to understand and navigate, they often turn to play.
Yeah. Their imagination. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, in how into in being able to process what's going on. So I love that she was able to, that was something that she could do naturally to support herself.
Right.
Um, and then being involved in the book. Like that would have just been next level for her as well.
Yeah.
You say that she's 11 now.
Mhm.
What does she think about the book coming out and knowing that it was all sort of her at that time? One in 4 pregnancies will result in miscarriage. 1 in 8 women will experience infertility. 1 in 100 women will experience recurrent miscarriage. And 1 in 160 births end in stillbirth. Have you been wanting to make a difference in the lives of women or men who have experienced pregnancy loss because you can see so many suffering in silence, but you just don't know how? Collectively, we can change how bereaved parents can access mental, physical, and emotional support after their experience. There is a lot of women with unhealed trauma, and there is a huge gap in the current support system when it comes to bereaved parents' recovery after loss. There are too many women and men suffering in silence. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is a worldwide, one-of-a-kind program that gives you proven methods designed for healthcare professionals, medical staff, midwives, nurses, doulas, birth workers, coaches, and angel parents alike. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is bridging that gap. It will give you a proven support structure to follow and education specific to pregnancy loss, created by a lost mum. It is creating more education specifically for loss so that you can enhance your service and become the point of difference. Or you can create the support that you so desperately needed in your healing after loss. This is the next level of growth and expansion you have been searching for. So does this sound like something that you have been searching for? Let's explore this more together. You can head to the episode show notes where you'll find the program application, or direct message me on Instagram and let's open up the conversation in how you can use this education. You have a gift, and I look forward to supporting you and witnessing you bring your gift to the world, healing and transforming women's lives.
She's so excited. She's been so sweet about it and so supportive. And and of course she's preteen, so it's like, can I sign them? Can I sign the books? Can I can I be at the book signing? Can I, now I'm like, okay, I'm not a famous celebrity. Calm down. But she's very excited to be included in it, and she's sharing it with all her friends, and it's just so sweet how she's so proud of it, and because she was involved in it too, and it was that it happened 8 years ago. It's been a process just with life, and she was 4, and then thankfully we did get pregnant again. We have our little boy who's now 7, and so life has just been busy, with school and dance and baseball, like you'd mentioned at the beginning, and working from home. So it's taken some time to have it come to fruition. But I actually, the very first draft of it, I wrote it was a rhyming book, because I thought, okay, well, this is a children's book. Let's do like a rhyming book. And I have a dear friend who knew an editor. And so she took a look at it and was like, I think it's amazing, but it's limiting you as to what you can say, because it was said through Sadie's, as if a 4-year-old was telling the story. And so I was using vocabulary that maybe a 4-year-old wouldn't say. So that was kind of the stubborn part of me. It was like, no, I just want it done. I just want to release it. I just want it out there. And I had to take a step back and go, okay, she's right. Let's look at this through different eyes. And so, I scratched the first version and rewrote it as it is now. And so Sadie helped me along with that too, because, I'd sit down and say, that day at preschool, how did you feel when you knew mommy was, going to bring you the picture? And so kind of sitting with her and almost interviewing her and having her go through it too I think was helpful in how the book came out. But yeah, she's been great and so supportive about it. And my son is now like, where's mine? When are you gonna write one about me?
You'll have to
So
think of something.
I have a couple ideas in mind, but I'm like, this one's just coming out, so slow down. Yeah,
So cute.
yeah,
But yeah, no, it's an incredible book, and I love how you tell it through her eyes, because it's so relatable then for the young, obviously the younger readers, to be
right,
able to sort of feel into the words and feel into
right,
the way that they say that how they're feeling and the emotions that they're feeling, because it's
right,
even the way that they say how they're feeling isn't going to be the way that we do it.
right.
So, the validation of their feelings coming from someone that is, on their level, is
Right,
it's just going to help them understand and navigate that and go, oh, okay, like, yes, for these little people's brains,
yeah,
how, how, I mean, it's just as validating for them as much as it would be for us to read something or hear something,
right,
and from the other person saying, oh, this is how I felt.
right.
Um, but it's such an important thing, because like I said before, it's like the children do sort of can seem to get a little bit left behind. And I think having her as part of the book was, I guess, a healing process for her as
Yeah,
well. And almost sort of documenting her journey through
yep,
the grief,
exactly.
through the healing, through the recovery,
Yeah,
to kind of the other side, almost like
right,
the children might feel like, this is really heavy, but then like you're reading it in a book, they're like, okay, it can get a bit lighter.
right. That's exactly why I wrote it, because I thought if this could help another little kid out there who was, excited to become a sibling. And, if their parents, or whomever can sit them down and read this and have them go, oh, okay, this does happen to other kids. That it's not just me. Why is this happening to me? This does happen to others. Like yesterday, we actually did a walk that I've been wanting to do for years through an organization called Forever Footprints. It's an OC walk to remember that we did, and there were over 500 names read of babies who had passed. And while we were there were so many kids running around, and I took a step back and thought for a minute, how great for these kids that are all here together, seeing each other, knowing, oh, they lost a sibling too. Oh, they went through this also, and that's exactly why I wrote this book is for kids to just know they're not alone, and it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel angry about it. Um, we as adults, we get, like you said, we get to process it. Like my husband was amazing. And, when it happened, he gave me all the time I needed to go through what I needed to go through. And I was kind of useless for a good month. And then it hit him when he knew I was okay, but I got to do that with him. And so I wanted this for her. Like, it's okay to grieve on your own time. It's okay to feel sad. It's like you said, so it's okay to have those moments where she's imagining her little brother in her eyes, her sister, playing with, and I let her. I wasn't like, what are you talking about? There's no one there. You're imagining. I let her, because I thought, okay, this is how she's going to deal with it. So I'm just going to let her pretend that she's playing with her, and if that's what helps her get through it, then I'm all for it. So.
Were there other things that you noticed that maybe, I guess that she used to help herself through? Any, like, I guess play is a really big one with kids.
Yeah,
Was there anything else that you noticed that was, I guess, important in her healing and recovery?
I think a lot of it was play. I think
Mm.
the majority of it was, and helping me with the book was a huge part of it. Um, yeah, she's a little artsy one as well. She's, also a dancer and loves to draw. So I know she did a lot of, little drawings and stuff like that. And she did do pictures. But I think the majority of it was in us just having that open conversation with her, and letting her go through it, and helping me with the book. And um, she actually helped me find the illustrator as well. I had this vision in my head of what I wanted. And so that was kind of a fun process, finding, the illustrator. And, I'd find different pictures that they had done, and we'd sit down together, and I'd have one in my mind that I liked. And I'd say, okay, which one is your favorite? How do you like the drawings that they did? And so that was fun. She'd be like, oh, I like this one. And so come to find out, we picked the same one. So, which ended up being our illustrator for the book. But so, yeah, I think just including her and validating her feelings was huge, and just letting her go through it as she needed to. And then, we found out the same year, June, that we were expecting our son. And so that was amazing for her. She was thrilled, and, above the moon about it. So,
I love that she was a big part of your illustrator, in
yeah.
finding the illustrator as well. So it's almost like she's had a hand in pretty much
Oh, yeah.
every part of the book.
She definitely has. She definitely has.
Do you have like a part of the book that kind of stands out for you in particular? Like, is there something that sort of stands out for you, or just the whole book in itself?
I think probably the ending, when we went to the park and released the balloons. I think that was a big moment for all of us, in kind of, not saying, I don't want to say goodbye, but just kind of saying, you know, it for her, I think it was kind of a goodbye.
Mm.
Um, and a release, just knowing, okay, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. We have each other. There's a saying that my husband always says to my daughter, uh, almost on a daily basis, and it's, I love you all the time, every day, no matter what. And so we put that in the book. And because it's, even through the darkest times, we have each other. And that's, this was, a dark time for all of us. And that day at the park, we just kind of felt at peace a little bit with it. It was just, okay, we'll say goodbye for now, or see you later. and it was lighthearted for her. I have a video of it, and the second she released the balloon, she turned around and had this huge smile on her face, just watching them float away. And it helped us. It was like, okay, she's going to be okay. As long as we know she's going to be okay, we'll get through this.
Mhm.
So I think that's kind of one of the bigger parts that stands out for me.
Yeah, it's almost like a sense of for the kids, I think they need that sense of like finality, sort of that sense of
Yeah,
like for their minds, like the way that they process things, they do
right,
need that sense of like this is we're doing this because the baby isn't coming home.
right,
Because they need to know things in literal terms. They need to know that, they're not just passed on, or, because they'll be like, well, when will they come back? Like
right.
they need to know that, it is final. And to, I guess, I have that, and have that as a powerful thing for her to realize, okay, this is it. This is
Right,
my moment to say, you know, whether it is goodbye or I'll see you later, or,
right.
you know, um, it would have been a really pivotal moment, I think, for her as well in her healing, to go, okay, now I can move forward. Now I can start processing, start healing and recovery, but in her own
Yeah,
words and in her own
right,
way.
right. Definitely. Yeah. And it's funny because, now she's 11. And during this whole process of the book coming out and all of that, I asked her the other day, do you remember everything that happened when you were 4? Do you remember it? And the one thing that kind of sticks out to her is that day at the park.
Mm.
She doesn't remember feeling sad. She doesn't really remember the parts where she was in her room talking to her. She doesn't remember that unless, we kind of bring it up and remind her and, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I kind of remember. But she remembers that day at the park and releasing the balloons. So that has definitely, stuck out in her mind. It's kind of a core memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love I I love that the intention of the book, the whole intention of the book, is to validate the children's feelings with the loss of a sibling due to miscarriage, stillbirth or infant loss. And I love that you were able to step into that space and create something because, you could see that it was something that you needed and your daughter needed at that time. And I know when we create stuff like that, it's because, we're going through it, or you're going through it. Someone else is going to need that resource and need that support
Right,
as well.
right, definitely.
Did you want to share anything else from the book before we start to wrap up?
Um, well, my goodness. I think just um I think I just have a sense of pride with it. I think I hope that it's something that will touch, families out there going through it and help them through it and help their children through it and to navigate through their loss. And um, it's something that I needed. I needed something positive to come out of something tragic, kind of like you'd said before. Um, and I'm just really proud of how it's turned out, and if I can help one family out there and one child to kind of know that they're okay, it's done its job. And so, yeah, I'm glad 8 years later it's done, and my family is really happy about it and proud, and yeah, so I think the whole book as a whole is just it's just a validation of kids' feelings and you know letting them express those feelings in a safe space and knowing that no matter what happens, I have my family, whether I become a big sister, brother or not, I'll be okay because I have my family here to support me, and they'll always be there, even if I don't have a little brother or sister at the end of this. So, yeah.
That's a really beautiful message to take away as well. And I think being inside of a kid's book, it's going to be much more well received from the child. They'll be able to absorb the content and the information that you have in there. And
Yeah.
to know that they are always going to be loved no matter what. They don't have to be, if they don't end up having a sibling, that they are always going to be loved. And
Right.
I think that's a really important piece of it as well. Like there's nothing that's going to change in terms
Right.
of the way that they're going to receive love from their parents.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that can be a fear with children, when they see big things happening and they see things changing. They're like, it's a natural thing. Like, am I going to be okay?
Right.
The thoughts that go through their head. And just to reassure them that they will be okay.
Yeah.
No matter what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly how I wanted our story to end, is kind of in an uplifting spirit in that way, not so, finalized on, okay, the baby passed and, my daughter was sad, and, end it in that way. I wanted it to be more relatable for kids in that way of, okay, I have my parents, or, whomever, their family is around them. And for them to know, okay, well, the little girl in the book, she was okay after, she lost her little sister, brother. I'll be okay too, you know.
Yeah, such a beautiful message.
Thank you.
So where can people go to find you, your book, all of the beautiful things that you've created?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Blue and Pink Balloons. The book is available at librarytalespublishing.com. As of today, it's on Amazon. And we're working on a few other sites that it's going to be available at as well. I'm developing my website, so that should be available soon. And that's blueandpinkballoons.com. So it'll be on there. Yeah, so that's the majority of them right now.
I'll make sure to link everything in the show
Thank
notes
you.
as well. So
Perfect.
you're only one click away. But I just want to thank you so much, Shani, for being a part of the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.
You're so welcome. And I absolutely know you will be changing lives and children's lives with this book. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you to all that have listened in. If this episode was valuable to you, I invite you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode. Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.